around the beginning of the 17th century, 1600s, when the big metropolitan areas started to develop. The need for advertising, for memorializing, for playfully describing all of the entertainments, which were mainly the brothels, theater, kabuki, and sumo later,
Exactly.
started to use the printed image. So what we have here is a small album-like book by Okamura Masanobu. It's called Genroku Jinbutsu.
Could you tell me where he studied technique?
Well, he probably picked it up here and there, but
So
he
he
was
self-taught.
well.
sort of.
Clearly he emulates the Tori
Tori.
people, but he never claimed to be part of that.
part of
and
that.
his first known book was 1701 or 2, I believe, right in that area. He was a very young man then, because we think he was born around 1686. He was known primarily as an illustrator of his cheap novels. So I think it's more likely that this rather elegant, nicely proportioned set of textless images was just a little bit later. You see?
So it's really, really beautiful with that as a quality of line, and then also very carefully printed.
I love how the designs of the bodies and the garments roll together. This looks almost like a seashell kind of a thing, and it's hard to imagine a real body under that. It's pretty carefully
it's
done.
a flower arrangement
Right.
and then the tokonoma. But you can see right here, thicker line become thinner and then get thicker again. That really much, you have a relief of like it's a much harder to keeping exactly same like a nose or like a hairline. It's line doesn't fluctuate in the thickness of it. Much harder than like doing this kind of the thicker, thinner line.
He's at the beginning of a group of print designers who, for various reasons, have been advertising the world of theater, the world of the brothel, the courtesan. And there's no image, at least in this book, that you could call shunga or erotic. You see? If we look at another book, and this is Tsukenobu, Ishikawa Tsukenobu, and this is also images of beautiful women and activities of the season. 1740, I think, is the publication date of this. So we're looking at something 30 years after this. Do you see a difference? Does your eye see a difference in?
Some of the like I'm looking at it much more detailed, or kimono design, or sometimes the hairline. Not these pages, but some of the hairline is really much more tight, much more line than this up here by Masanobu.
So it's a slightly tighter, more control.
Yes.
I mean, you're not looking at that big of a difference.
Yeah, it's not that.
But what I find interesting is the settings.
Settings,
These are probably imagined settings.
Yeah.
Something I also noticed is that the figures are a bit more believable.
Yeah.
And the bodies under the clothing are a
right.
bit more. It looks like the clothing actually falls on them. And here they have that rounded kaiketsudo
You're
effect.
right.
Yeah.
And then we see Harunobu.
Then you see Suzuki Harunobu.
Yes.
Who?
It's beautiful.
Suzuki Harunobu, who is credited with bringing full color printing into the fore. So his most active period is like the 1760s. And he has this wonderful series from that period, 3 volumes, Seiro Bijin. Essentially, these kinds of books were intended as advertising.
Advertising.
Advertising for the pleasure quarters. You know very well these are really classic Harunobu figures.
Yes.
his women and men
Yes.
too, but women are easily identifiable.
Yeah, but it's a lovely. It's like a tea. She's tucking into the drinking, and then just I can see steam coming
Steam
out.
coming
from
off.
the
It's right. It looks almost
Yeah.
like a tiny little,
little yes.
almost a mistake, and you realize that's your hand coming
The
out.
hand coming out.
And she
Yeah.
holds the tea against
Exactly.
her bare
Yes.
chest, and the steam rolls
Yeah,
out.
steam rolls out. That's the amazing images. And then I'm also Jim is amazing. This is a sort of like a this color of a purple. It's more brown, but it's probably this is like a dayflower blue
Mhm.
or something in a faded away,
Faded
and a
away
kind
a
of
bit,
faded
yeah.
away the color. But I can see still in the purple colors.
Really kind of cool. This book inspired competition. So slightly later, you have Shigemasa and Shuncho doing essentially the same topic. Harunobu kind of set the stage. Artists who followed him by a few years took up the challenge. They elaborated. These are oban
size.
prints.
Yes.
But here, instead of being one continuous, one of these is folded
Yes.
in half.
Yeah.
So
She had a
every other page is folded.
because there's a lot of mathematics involved there.
A lot of mathematics, yeah. So,
Well, when I'm looking at it, always very technical carving time. Carving is a very, I'm always looking for kewari, is like hairlines, and then how we finely cut. But it's always last is headmaster carved.
we look at these kind of like as fine art,
Yes.
but what we're looking at is comparatively mass circulation, high-end advertising of different tea houses. But Shuncho was especially famous for actor
Kabuki.
prints. Actor prints, and so operating in the late 1700s. If you think about these as movie star magazines or People magazine of the period,
Yes.
it's all just a delight to look at.
Yeah.
And while they might look, from our perspective of several hundred years later, like caricatures, I think the audience of the day certainly was able to identify them.
Identify who's actor
Who
is.
was who,
Yeah.
through a combination of facial type
Nice.
and the role. Quality of retention of color in this book is particularly striking to me.
Yes,
Look at this.
that's here's. It's completely exactly same dayflower blue. I see it's not browning anything. It's really preserved in the color of the dayflower blue. It's a purple, and some of them we've seen before is already faded away. This is exactly colors when you print freshly you print.
So if you look at these in terms of an Oban print, of course, again, like many of the others we're looking at,
Yes.
this is the Oban, and pages are folded. But in terms of number of colors used in process, I guess you have to think about both sides, right?
Exactly, because it's printed
pretty
at the same
complex.
time. Yeah.
So you have to be very careful and
Yes, you have to be careful. But so this is printed at the same time and the same block, and then there's a two set of the different area.
probably a dozen or more colors. So this is a complex printing. There's no
Yes.
question about it.
No question about it. Yeah, it's great.
But at the same time this is going on, and we come to a contemporary of Shuncho's, with Amaro. And there's not a specific date given for his luxury book on seashore life, but a good guess is 1790s. The standard Oban sets the stage.
Widespread.
And then we go to these series of poems, and below you get a whole incredibly beautiful range.
Yes.
of shapes and
Shells,
kinds of
yeah.
shells. And it's almost scientific.
Yeah. It's a beautiful gem, and there's a very light green gradation faded away, and then text appears. And then also right here, gem, there's only this area had like a, it's just very small proportion area, but it's have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different plates and going that
the way
is
around.
always around.
So contrasting lines.
Yes, we can see contrast and then also texture. It's a very complex plant. It's such a tiny area. And then one other thing is you can see it. It's contrast with other shell, which is a 1-time printed or 2-time printed. It's just behind. And then this is a boom. There's a 5 colors.
It's almost like it scatters the colors.
Exactly,
here, and
exactly. And then bring it out, just like a put up.
So it really punches
It
out.
punches out.
This must have been a costly production.
It is. It is very,
Very
very costly. Oh, like here, mica. There's a mica still touches the mica there. It's beautiful.
Sea cucumbers.
Yes, you can. You know, and also this mica is very effective because of you turn on the pages, and then wherever you turn the pages is shining
The
away.
light
because
catches it.
print should be holded.
Mm-hmm.
It knows that artist, it's this not looking this way. You hold the book or like a ton of pages, and wherever ton of pages, you see a detail of this bossing or sort of like a mica techniques, and you can see it.
So the active use.
Yeah,
of
active
the page
use of the pages.
activates the.
Because you see,
materials.
because all those Japanese print, it's not supposed to be hanging in it. You hold it and then look that way. So that all those technique of shiningness or something is effective because of you hold it and the turn on the pages.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then it ends with. Again, a group of beauties
Yes.
in an open room with the veranda.
Yeah.
In contrast to this, just from a book roughly of the same period, Umi no Sachi is very much a guidebook to fish. And I mean, contrast of an explanatory book, much cheaper production.
Yes.
I mean, you can tell
Yes.
quality of paper, quality of inking. And it's like a miniature encyclopedia or dictionary of sea life. And it's reflective of a general interest of the time, late 18th, early 19th century, when a lot of literature about Dutch, from Holland, so it's called Dutch learning, but really it's European learning about categorizing nature comes in. So some Japanese pick that up and they start doing these publications. But high end, low end of an interest in the period where you begin to separate things out as distinctive. So we started with Shunsho, and his actors become distinctive. Utamaro at a very high level book is looking at the distinctions of shells. And then this book suggests the types of sea life. And it's fascinating to end up with a mythical turtle, that has this. So even though everything preceding it was natural, they end with the myth, or almost end with the myth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the end of this.
Yeah. KJ, I've set out an array of late 19th, early 20th century, actually into late 20th century printed books, woodblock printed books, that people are just becoming familiar with, I think, in the collecting world. And they're interesting because they're created in a period when the traditional woodblock print was dying. Lithography, the ability to mechanically reproduce lots of images, really cut down on business. So publishers and artists had to reinvent themselves and find new reasons. Now, particularly in Kyoto, where the textile industry was extremely strong and powerful, pattern books, things like that, often became things of beauty to look at. This particular work by the artist Kobayashi Gyokunen was done about 1894. You know, you talked about turning the page, seeing things. So what's revealed here? The calligraphy is embossed, and the joined heads of cranes, and this is the Oshogatsu. It's a New Year's commentary. When I look at this, I don't see any of the technical skills that Shunsho or Harunobu, Hokusai, or their carvers manifest. These are beautiful, but they're big and bold.
Yes, this I could able to carve it.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful study.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
But look at the deep purple.
Oh, plum trees go underneath of like a wave. Wave go over top of plum blossoms. I can see that there's under waters is sort of like a.
So the wave passes in front.
Passes the front,
and you can see through the wave.
Through the wave.
Well, this is a fairly complex printing here.
Yes. It's more carving, and then also you can see the gradations coming out in the blue. So still there's like a sort of a carver, designer, carver, and the printer. But I can see in this book, it's like a designer has a full control of it, design. Yeah.
And again, every other page.
Pages, because of a pick it up. Yes, I can see all about light pages is a black and embossing style.
Yeah.
Each page you turn it on, always black, started black, and then there are colorful pages
so
and
the contrast.
Contrast. Wow, that's incredible. It's silver.
Silver.
Mica silver, sort of metallic. It's beautiful.
If we go 10 years up, you recognize whose calligraphy that is? Tomioka Tessai. Very, very famous artist, calligrapher. He begins each volume with his calligraphy, and after that you don't see anything about Tessai. But these are images that are right out of the catalog of Rimpa painting. This requires a great deal of precision and registration.
Exactly, it's very difficult. And then you can see in that some gradation. There's a lots of location that of no town in there, and also just like a little that texture of that tree.
So this is really about the Rimpa style, and the fact that it's introduced by Tomioka Tessai is all the more interesting. Very. It's a stunning book.
It is.
What many people regard as the pièce de résistance of the type, a Kyoto artist by the name of Kamisaka Sekka in the, I believe, 1909, 1910, 1911, came out with these volumes published by the Kyoto publishing house Unsodo.
Still exists.
And the title of this series is called Momoyogusa. It is one piece after another, a beautiful design, again based on this Rimpa notion of bold designs. Full page, bled right to the edge. Lots of metallic colors. They're bold, they're beautiful,
Yes.
but they're simple technically, are
Very,
they not?
very simple techniques, yes. It's not, you can see it's a much larger surface and it was carved.
So this is
It's copper, beautiful.
Copper.
And then this is a gofun, which is a shell white, top of it. So hiding in the underneath of the gold. Right
So-
here,
so,
you still
yeah.
see the patterns.
the white kind of creates a mist.
Go, mist. Mm.
Yeah, look at the embossing.
Yes,
there.
embossing. Beautiful
Leather-like.
embossing.
The top of Great
Mount
Fuji.
Fuji, yes.
And these are
Oh,
very
that's
good quality
incredible.
in the snowstorm.
Monk snowstorm.
Yeah.
Beautiful gradations and the snow. That's also, this is a shell white.
It's raised.
Yeah, raised. Oh,
And by way of contrast,
yes.
just to set this over here
Right.
and jump ahead to the mid 1970s, and
It's,
Sekino, the great print designer, who was part of a movement, Sosaku Hanga, which emulated European artists who designed, cut, printed their own etchings and whatever, with some embossing.
It's embossing too. Yes, there's like a black and embossing, so that's just 2 blocks.
He's-
But
he's-
this is like an artist cut himself.
Yes, yes,
and,
yes. And there's a lot of skill
Mhm.
when you contrast the black and the embossing. Like a number of artists of his age, and he was fairly old when he did this. A kind of love of history and myth.
And also, almost like a style is like a Mingei
It's
kind
a-
of style.
The folk art tradition, the Meiji
Yes,
tradition,
Mingei tradition, yeah,
that was
yeah,
also
yeah.
very popular in early 20th century Japan. As a work of technical achievement, I think this is fairly complex,
Yes.
even though it's only 2 colors. When you look at this and you jump all the way back to Harunobu, where you have books, however beautiful, are advertising prostitutes, basically. You see books moving down the line.
So incredible is that the whole collection is moving from really kind of arty bookmaking to just go through and then just really modern.
It's beautiful.